This is 5 on your side at noon. Focused on you.
And we begin today at noon with the weather. Here's a look at Midtown St. Louis. Rainy and cloudy on this Friday, and it's going to look a lot like this right through the first half of the weekend. Thanks so much for being here at noon. I'm Kay Quinn. Meteorologist Jim Castillo is here with the Weather First forecast. I'm sensing a pattern here for the past several weekends, Jim. Yeah. Temperatures always a little cooler than during the week.
You know, you're right, and this weekend is no exception. This weekend will be cooler, but, you know, closer to the average highs in the lower 50s on Saturday, maybe a little bit above that on Sunday. But right now, we're getting this beneficial rain across the area. It is very cloudy. We had a nice soaking rain this morning, but the commute was a little bit of a mess, wasn't it? So low pressure is just to the north of us, and there's that cold front to the west of us. Along that, we may get a thunderstorm developing. No severe weather is expected, but some rumbles of thunder, maybe a quick downpour, but the rain will be off and on and not as widespread as it was this morning. And you can see the storm itself has some colder air back behind it. There's areas of snow up there in northwest Missouri into Nebraska. We're not expecting that at all. Zooming in, you can see on the Metro East, a little bit of yellow and orange popping up. Those are some moderate rain showers pushing through there, but it is 60 right now, and that high in the upper 50s to low 60s. And of course, much more on our forecast coming up in just a bit.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Jim. It is a guilty verdict for Daniel Riley. It took the jury about 3 hours to find him guilty of causing the horrific crash that left Janae Edmondson without her legs. Once a promising volleyball player, she's now relearning how to walk on prosthetic legs. Riley was convicted of 2 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. That same jury recommended a sentence of nearly 19 years in prison. This morning, St. Louis Circuit Attorney said the crime resonated with the community. He thanked Janae for her resilience and not letting the injuries define her. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski was in the courtroom last night.
Janae Edmondson and her family got one last chance to speak to the jury before they headed back to deliberate a sentence for Daniel Riley. Janae's 3 siblings could not be here Thursday, but prosecutors read their joint statement saying they're still heartbroken over the crash that changed their lives.
If you had asked us 1 year ago if we had anything to be grateful for, we would have said no. But today we stand together eternally grateful that Janae is still alive. We are grateful that our dad was able to utilize his military training to save her. We're grateful that Janae found the strength to adapt to her new life.
And while she's adapting, her mom, Francine, says nothing will be easy for Janae ever again and had one plea for the jury.
When we're in St. Louis at the hospital, after she had just first woke up, she said to me that day, "Mom, please make sure he doesn't get out. Don't let him do this to anyone else."
Janae herself was in tears as she spoke to the jury one last time, explaining how she can no longer do the simple things like walk or shower standing up.
I wake up in the morning every day and I'm immediately reminded of what happened. And I never want anyone to experience the pain, the sadness, and the helplessness I felt. But one positive I have gained from this journey is my faith in Jesus.
The Edmondsons all asked the jury for the maximum prison sentence they could provide, but her father, James, says nothing will ever be enough for him.
He will still be able to walk, even after the time that you guys in the court give him. He'll be able to run, he'll be able to bend, he'll be able to do all those things. My daughter will not.
That was Laura Barczewski reporting. Riley and his attorneys declined to make a final statement. The jury recommended nearly 19 years in prison. The judge will make a final decision on April 18th. Our coverage continues on KSDK.com. That's where you can watch Janae's entire emotional testimony and victim impact statement. You can also watch it on our YouTube page and on 5+, which is free on Apple, Roku, and Fire TV. Scan the QR code on your screen. We will send you a link. Developing in the Metro East, police in Sauget say an officer fired at a man suspected of trying to pull someone out of a car. It happened this morning at the BP gas station on Mississippi Avenue. Police say the man reportedly fired a shot during the incident and didn't drop the weapon when asked. No one was hit. Illinois State Police are investigating. This Olivette man faces voluntary manslaughter charges after shooting his mother. According to charging documents, Jalen Johnson shot and killed her as she entered the back of their home. Happened yesterday at a home they both lived in on Huron Drive. Officers found Monica Nichols Johnson with gunshot wounds when they arrived. She died at the scene. A man, a young mother, and her infant girl all okay today after their home caught fire in Wright City. This is what's left of the house on Westwoods Road. Firefighters arrived just after midnight. Because of the flames, they had to enter the home through a bedroom window, which is where they found the 23-year-old mother and baby. The man was outside the home. He suffered burns. The cause of that fire is unknown. Missouri lawmakers working toward easing restrictions on older bus drivers. House Bill 1626 raises the age when a school bus driver must take a yearly test to get their license renewed from 70 to 77. It aims to address the shortage of school bus drivers by changing the regulations. But when it comes to a driver's cognitive abilities, that will still be the responsibility of the district.
The state sees that driver for about 2 hours when they take the test. The school sees them daily. And the school also holds the liability for if an accident happens.
Some lawmakers say they'd rather expand annual requirements to all drivers to make sure they're capable. The legislation now goes to the state Senate. The Radiation Exposure Compensation Act is headed to the U.S. House. The Senate passed the bill yesterday. The legislation would require the government to compensate local victims exposed to radioactive contamination. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley spearheaded the effort, and Congresswoman Cori Bush says she will champion the bill in the House. President Biden delivered a fiery State of the Union covering several themes. He stressed the improving economy, reproductive rights, and preserving democracy. NBC's Bree Jackson has more on the speech and the Republican response.
The state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
President Biden delivering a fiery message during Thursday night's State of the Union address, warning of threats overseas.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
The president calling on Congress to approve aid for Ukraine to defend itself, while also calling out challenges to our country.
History is watching, just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy.
President Biden touting his successes while drawing a sharp contrast between his policies and the GOP's on issues like a woman's right to choose.
Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women, but they found out.
U.S. Senator Katie Britt delivering an intense Republican response.
The American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families. Our families are hurting. Our country can do better.
She blasted the president on issues like the economy and crime.
From our small towns to America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable.
Dueling speeches at a pivotal moment in the presidential race. It's now down to a rematch between President Biden and his predecessor, former President Trump. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
During his State of the Union, the president drew a contrast between himself and Donald Trump. He didn't mention Trump by name, but still referenced his predecessor more than a dozen times. Still ahead, a frightening scene at an airport as a tire falls off a plane. Where it landed and why airline officials didn't have much concern about that. And what the College Board is doing to try to make the SAT relevant.